Hey folks, Ethan here, also known as the Valid Transcendence Liner. Welcome back to the channel. If you guys seen me before, welcome back. If you guys are new, welcome to the channel. Today, as a weather psychic, I'll be revealing untold information that never made it to the public in the first place. Now, from the National Weather Service, there are plenty of information about this tragic event, but unfortunately there isn't really a lot of information about the tornado itself, and there are still some missing pieces of info that needs to be heard. As a weather psychic, I've committed to do the best I can and the best of my abilities to get as much information from Spirit. The last thing I want to point out is that to the meteorology community, I'm not a meteorologist, but I have learned a little bit of meteorology. But whether you guys believe it or not, the judgment is up to you. Not to everyone else, I say the same thing for you guys. You guys can be the judge of whether you believe whatever I got is true or not. Starting off is this case was definitely the most this was the most challenging case that I've ever done in my life. I wasn't really expecting to know a lot about the greater details of the tornado itself, but the information, I would say, is quite flabbergasting. Without further ado, I'm gonna show you guys these questions that I asked from Spirit, and I will explain more afterwards. The truth is, about the answer I got, I will say that I'm not too surprised about what I've got, and I expected that this wasn't a long track tornado to begin with. A lot of meteorologists do say that it was a long track, like people say it is the tri-state tornado, but it's a bit misleading because it wasn't just one tornado. It wasn't just one. I would just call it a tri-state supercell, to be completely honest with you guys. That's basically what I'm trying to say here. And what's really got me the most is that it was a multi-vortex. So if you guys don't know what that is, imagine you have one funnel cloud that is spinning, but you got multiple little funnels coming around, like spinning around like a merry-go-round basically. That's what a multi-vortex is. But there was something else that didn't quite make sense to me, but I want to get back to you guys in the next set of questions that I did ask from Spirit. But right after I got my answer about the multi-vortex, it did confirm that after manifesting those little tornadoes, which I'm speculating because I don't know how it was back then. There is no There's no pictures or there's no video documentation about this event. There's nothing. And you guys might be wondering, there isn't though? I thought there is. Well, it's unfortunate that we don't. We do have cameras back in the days in 1925, but unfortunately, no one didn't film it though. We have the paper documents, but we just didn't even capture what it looked like back in the days. For now, this was a bit of a surprise that right after its multi-vortex, playing the merry round the rosy type of dance with its little funnels with the main wide powerful twister on the top, it did evolve into a powerful wedge. And you guys might be wondering, how wide was it though? Now, you guys might be wondering, what is a wedge tornado, to be precise? So, a wedge is a tornado that is wider than it is tall, basically. So, I'm pretty sure you guys have seen certain tornadoes that have very long, snaky tubes, or like a long rope tornado. A wedge, it's monstrous and it's much wider. So, imagine like a tornado that's this big, but it's super, like the cloud base itself is super low, and it's that big. That's basically what a wedge is. Hopefully that was enough for you guys to understand about that in meteorology in some ways. Let's get into the next set of questions that I asked, and these were the answers that I got from Spirit. These answers, they are definitely something I would admit. But the one question that didn't surprise me that much is that the supercell thunderstorm was a cyclic supercell. And to many of you that are listening to me for the first time, are wondering, what is a cyclic supercell? I don't know much about this. So, to understand and to be clear on this, a cyclic supercell is a supercell that is able to go through weakening and pulsations of intensification, basically. Of, let's just say, you have one tornado, but it dies out, but it'll quickly regain its rotational balance structure, and that's how it is defined as a cyclic supercell. Now, there are two different ones. One, but just the one I told you guys, is about one tornado that'll stay in the ground for like half an hour or around there, something like that, and then it'll die out. But the rotation will quickly reorganize. The supercell itself will quickly regain its rotational balance and make another tornado, basically. The second one, it is quite indeedly rare in some cases, and that is having a massive wall cloud with the tornado cyclone. They're able to produce multiple twisters. And you guys might be wondering, how many twisters can this produce? Let's just say around like 3 to 5 twisters from one supercell. It's like a insane family of tornadoes, basically. The thing that really got me the most was that this wedge tornado was, in fact, over 2 miles wide. According to the records from the National Weather Service, from the AI overview, it says that it was 1.7, which the first time I got this answer, I was a bit skeptical, but there are times where I shouldn't judge spirit that easily, so I was like, you know what, I'll just rechannel and ask the same question again to see if that is true. And funny thing is, I was actually in a different bedroom trying to channel into this answer, and surprisingly, my eyes got really weird, and it was a confirmed yes answer by an image. Now, if you guys have forgotten that I am clairvoyant, so I was hoping I could get some answers through love energy translation, but an image is good enough for me, basically. But now to anyone else, including meteorologists, now you guys know that this was our first 2-mile wide wedge tornado that we ever got in history. The odd question I did ask, which I was kind of curious, I was a little scared, but I was like, you know what, I'll just ask. And I was kind of curious if this twister actually somehow reached over 3 miles wide. And the answer was that it did not reach that far. So we're halfway into this case, what I've got. Now let's go on and see more questions that I ask. And this is what I got next from these set of questions that I asked from Spirit. So, these answers were definitely quite interesting, I would say. I was a bit surprised that this twister was not even wider than the El Reno tornado of 2013. Now, to anyone that is familiar with that event, that twister was just crazy. Now, to anyone who doesn't know about the event, how wide was the wedge tornado in El Reno of 2013? That monstrosity was 2.6 miles wide, and that remains to this day as the widest and largest tornado on record. The wedge tornado that is 2 miles wide for my case stands as the number 3rd spot. What is the 2nd spot in place for the widest and largest tornado? That one was a EF4 2.5 miles wide, and that was back in Nebraska on 2004. So, if you guys are wondering how I got the 2nd most powerful one and the widest, I watched some creators about these tornado events. That's how I was able to know about it. The other thing that I was able to validate for this case is that this was a rain-wrapped 2-mile wide tornado. And I did take a look at this earlier. They did say it was obscured by rain, and it was confirmed that this was a rain-wrapped tornado. Now, if you guys don't know what that basically is, imagine a wedge tornado, but you get a lot of rain. around it, though. That's pretty much what a rain-run tornado is. The third thing I do want to mention about the question that I ask is that this thing did reach up to 300 miles per hour. I did take a look at that. But I did ask if it went over 300 miles per hour. And surprisingly, that was our first ever 300 mile per hour wind wedge tornado that we've got in history, the earliest that we've gotten. The very last question that I'm pretty sure every light worker, I would say, my fault on that one, and psychic medium, of course, have been wanting to know about this one question. And this is part involving the paranormal, obviously. And this is the question that I need to know about. And this is the answer I got from Spirit. This is quite sad that many folks died on this tragic day. I do want to be clear that I did try to not peek into the fatality numbers. However, there was one exception idea that I did think that was necessary for you guys to know about. The reason why I asked the question because, well, obviously, I did take a look at the death toll, and it was rather confusing because, according to the National Weather Service, they said it was like over 600. And then on the images from other newspapers from old times, say it was over 840 and up to 1,000. So the documentation is not very accurate for me. So, is it safe to assume that it could have been like 1,100, or could have been 1,200 folks that died? We don't know. But whatever it is, it's this tri-state supercell of 1925 remains as the deadliest event in U.S. history. This is pretty much all I ask from Spirit. And I'm pretty sure you guys have more questions about this stuff, more on something like this or that. Unfortunately, I'm not going to answer those questions because this, I believe, was enough information for you guys to learn about. So, I am satisfied for what I have done for quite a while, and I'm kind of been lost in words, and I feel a little bit sad because so many people died on that tragic day. But what's kind of a bit ironic is that this tri-state supercell was beaten by my prediction, Twister, and that was from the quad-state supercell of 2021. And that is one of the deadlier, or I wouldn't say deadlier, but one of the deadliest tornado events in history. It didn't beat the tri-state supercell on death toll, but however, it did become the longest track of supercells in history. Overall, I hope that this was very enlightening you guys to learn about this particular history piece. And I don't believe that this info that I got, I don't believe it's going to be approved to the National Weather Service. Because the reason why I say that is because I don't believe that this would convince the meteorology community that they would change their documentation about this, because, like I said before, I'm not a certified meteorologist at all. I'm not. Even though I am a weather psychic, I have learned about a little bit of meteorology, but not to the deepest level of where a degree would come in. Anyway, this is all I have for you guys. Hopefully this was helpful to you guys. Love and light to all of you. As always, stay strong out there. I'll see you guys next time.